Looks like starting. Okay, YouTube is telling me that I'm live. So hello everyone. I'm the L Train. Today I'll be working on some production of music, because that's what I do. I produce music. And for those who didn't catch me last week, I'll be continuing that work. So what I'm working on is a thing called Between Worlds, which is a project from my symphonic metal instrumental side project thing, which is titled, the side project is called Transcendental Orchestra, and the album, symphony, whatever you want to call it, is called Between Worlds. So, when we left off last week, actually I've done a bit of work on it since then, so I will stop talking about last week and just talk about what I've actually got so far. So for those who, actually what I'll do is, for those who haven't heard about what I've been doing on Between Worlds, I'll just put a link in the description. I hope this works. Just let me check that works. Mind me while I navigate the bowels of the internet. Yeah, that works. So I'll just put that in the description here. Just what I've put up on SoundCloud of stuff that I've already got for that. Is that going to... just give me a second here. The stream is saying I'm having problems. Just let me fix that. Settings, advanced. Okay, so it looks like I can't fix that. That's alright. Hopefully the stream is still working for you folks. Okay, so what I'll do is, we've got some people saying hi in the stream. Hello everyone. I've actually got the chat turned on this time, which is a nice change from last time, where I forgot to have the chat on. Okay, I'll just start by playing what I've got of this so far. Actually, before I do that, let me just... Okay, so just select that. That's not what I want. that's what the track I'm working on sounds like at the moment. So the track I'm working on is called, it's still called Meteoric. I'm not sure on the, so if I zoom in there, it's called Meteoric. I'm still not sure on that name. It will probably change before I release it, but that's alright. It's an instrumental, so the track titles are a little less crucial. Okay. Alright, so as always when I do this, I have a vague sort of outline of how the song is going to go in my head. Directly after this part, so it sounds a bit like an ending. So what I'm going to do there, I've already actually set it up here. I'll have a short break, half a bar, 3 beats, and then it'll go into a guitar riff which is based upon that bit I actually just played. So if I just solo that. Yeah, so the next bit will be so. And I'm actually thinking it's in a different key, which will make it interesting to play because that uses open E. So. Maybe I'll leave that G. I don't know if I'll be able to play that at the right speed. Maybe that'll work. Anyway, that's not going to work. So, we'll see how this goes. This will be interesting. This entire song is just a little bit too fast for me to play comfortably. Like it's right at, well, it's just beyond the edge of what I can really play. So if you look through, if I look through these guitar parts, you'll notice. Actually, it's not too bad there, but there's sort of edits everywhere because I can only just barely play the parts. That's all right. So let's record some guitars. It was a good first try, but I reckon I can play it better than that. I need more coffee before I can do this. Got this rather tricky picking pattern. And then there's that skip. problem is all those notes are on the same fret, which makes the fingering pattern kind of interesting. You even see that. So just move your hands so you can see that. Stop the desk from shaking. Maybe I'll just play it the way it was, in mute. Anyway, I think I've almost got it, so another couple of tries and I should have something. Sometimes when you can't get a part, you need to cheat. So I've got a capo here. I'm going to try seeing if this will help it. I also need to retune it. Cable's not really designed for a 7-string guitar with this radius, so it ends up being a tune. I'm sure if I practiced that riff enough, I'd be able to play it just normally, but not a thing I'm capable of at the moment, and I'd rather just record it and then move on to writing the rest of the song. So. Yes, so it's cheating, but I don't care. Alright, let's try this again. Still can't play it. See? Once I get into the rhythm of it. Just let me edit this into some sort of listenable shape. And I may not have to record. What's going on there? Sounds like I'm rushing it, but no, I'm not. Doesn't seem to be as many of you watching today, which is a little bit disappointing. Although I guess it's maybe a bit early for some of you East Coast, well, and West Coast as well, US people. Not even sure what the time is there. It's like the middle of the afternoon or something, I believe. It's currently 10:16 in the morning here. So I'm still sort of half asleep. I only woke up like an hour ago. If I wasn't streaming, I'd probably still be asleep, because I'm lazy. Don't use me as a role model, that's bad. You probably should be waking up early and getting more stuff done in your day. Problem if you wake up at 10 o'clock, problem is like half the day's gone and you're like, oh, I wanted to do stuff today, but it's already like 3 p.m. Doing this by eye, but it probably doesn't sound very good. It's close enough. How many bars is that? It's 8 bars. Excuse me. I'll wipe my eyes. Okay, so I'll just double track that. If I was feeling really lazy, I'd just copy and paste to shuffle things around, but I don't know if that take is good enough for me to do that. That was a much better take. What's going on there? What's going on here? Push that back a bit. Try to line them up just a little bit. Okay. Now I have a rough idea of how the next section goes too. But before I get onto that, just I'll do some drum parts. So, alright, that's enough of that. Let's go back to the dashboard here on my laptop. Even if entertainment is not guaranteed, I'll be here learning music mixing. I'm not sure if I'm the best person to be learning mixing from. I'm actually kind of terrible at mixing. Mostly because it's a skill that I have no interest in doing. Like endlessly twiddling knobs is just not something I'm good at or want to be good at. Alright, let's get this out of the way. So I have only a vague idea of what the drum beat here is actually going to be. So there's a couple of options I could do. Or, so that's sort of a rock beat but in 3. Or I can continue that beat. No, I think the rock beat is a good idea, so I'll stick with that. Okay, let's record this. Don't need a post roll. 3. So here's one thing I've found. Whenever a drummer hits 2 toms at the same time, they'll never hit them exactly at the same time. Well, generally. Usually it's a bit of a flam. So generally when I do tom or fills and I have a double hit, I'll actually flam the notes. You can see it there. So I have the right hand, which would be the lower tom, as the stronger hand. So it's going kudu, fudu, flam. Okay. Okay, how does that sound? Yeah, my time wasn't quite in, so I might have to fix some of this. Yes, so unfortunately the way I've got the streamer set up, you can't actually see these windows I've got hovering above the Pro Tools window. So all the stuff I'm doing over here is a little mysterious. I'll just quickly move it to the right window. So you can see over here on the right, I've got event operations, which I've almost always just got quantize on. Anyway, where was I? Back to there. What kind of drum samples do you use? So that's a question. So I've got a question from Ted Anthony. What kind of drum samples do I use? So So I'll move back to this window. I did I explained this... did I explain this last week? I think I did. It was in a very long, in the middle of a very long video though, so I'm not surprised you didn't find it. So my main drum program, sample set, it's from Superior Drummer 2. And most of what I use is from the Metal Foundry. There it is there. Now which kit did I originally take this from? I forget. It was one of the presets that I based it on. So one of the... I forget which one I based it from. It's been modified quite a bit since then anyway. So just your standard 2 kicks, 6 toms, which is excessive, but this whole project is excessive, so I guess that's right. And your usual complement of crashes, mainly those. Actually, no, mainly those 3 that I use. So those are the 3 main crashes, and I have a couple of others situated around the kit. And it's very slashes and effects simple. A lot of these I don't really use. One thing I've done that's probably a bit interesting, I've taken my 2 big cymbals, so that's this 18-inch left side crash and the 21-inch right side crash. And I've duplicated those with these X drums with an envelope with a slow attack on it. So those are the main cymbals, and if I can remember where I mapped them, there they are. So, and what's useful there is that you can do rolls. Whereas if I do that with what is the... Anyway, if I do that with the regular cymbal sample, it just doesn't sound right. It's probably a bit excessive. In real life, you will actually get some of the stick noise if the drummer is doing it with their sticks, but this is more of a mallet roll, I guess. Whatever. Oh, it is from Avatar, I thought so. Anyway, so the other main thing here is that, except for, there's a few pieces that aren't from Metal Foundry, so hi-hat and the snare are from Metal Machinery, which is the other expansion that I've got. Because, I don't actually like any of the snares in Metal Foundry. They just didn't work for me very clearly. So if I go to, do I have the, there it is. So these are the... They just don't inspire me. They're just not very good. Whereas the Metal Machinery snare is much nicer. Before I got Metal Machinery, I was actually using an Avatar snare, which is a very similar sound. It's actually didn't change much. Other than that, the hi-hat's also from Metal Foundry. I actually had a few years ago I was in a band with a drummer who actually had a set of these Zildjian Z Customs. Those are extremely heavy cymbals. They're like as heavy, they're like twice as heavy as the crashes he was using. They were nuts. They were the loudest things I've ever heard as well. They were incredible. Anyway, so that's the drum samples I'm using. Oh, the other thing other cool thing I've done is I've taken these toms and I've actually routed them through an auxiliary track here, and I'm sending them through this plugin I got from Waves Factory, which is called Snarebuzz. It's free. It was part of some competition they ran, so I'm not actually sure if it's still available. Basically what that does is that adds the sound of a snare drum buzzing in sympathy, I guess, resonating with the drums, or with whatever you send through it. So if I turn that off, I just bypass that and play the... So that second tom actually has some snare buzz recorded into the sample, so it's actually not necessary for that. That top tom sounds very strange next to it because it has none at all. Whereas if I turn it on, you get a bit of snare buzz with it. Sounds a bit more like the rest of the kit. And Waves Factory actually suggests that you can run this through bass tracks as well, which I have not done because I don't like the sound of it being run on the bass track. Just not ideal. It's more of a classic rock sort of thing to do, whereas I wanted a very clean sound for the bass. Anyway, that's enough out of that. Let's go back to my wonderful visage. Hello everyone again. And go back to where I was on this. So see if this sounds any good. Just, these are all eighths, so I might as well quantize it on the eighth. Just give me a sec here. I'm getting some lag. It does not like running Pro Tools and the streaming software at the same time. So let me just increase the buffer size there. Yep, so that's fine. Does that sound any good? What do you all think? If I play that whole section by itself. Do I have, just trying to remember where I've got, where's that mapped? Oh, it's all the way up there. That's not very helpful, is it? It's mapped above my keyboard. I can't actually hit the notes up there. Okay, well, let's not bother doing that. Drum's not likely to use that anyway. Anyway, so you probably didn't follow what I was doing there. I was trying to see if I had the edge samples for the ride mapped somewhere, but I don't. So the idea would be that's a bit of an awkward thing to play anyway. Probably wouldn't sound very good. So I'll just abandon that idea and go back to what I was doing. And then needs to sort of fill. So what is the drum doing? It's boring, but it works, so I'm not going to bother with it. where did I first learn about those sorts of hands and feet alternating? Was that a Mike Portnoy thing I remember I was watching once? I think it was. Anyway, yes, so that particular style of going hands, hand, hand, foot, foot, hand, foot, sort of. So I've lifted that straight from the Mike Portnoy playbook, so the former drummer of Dream Theater. And he does that a lot. It's sort of a cheap way to get lots of notes in, but maybe I rely on it too much, but it sounds okay. So. That's what I'm missing there. That side. Do I want to do... No. Sometimes when I do things I go a section at a time and then write orchestral parts on top of that, but I think I want to just continue with writing the guitar parts here, so I'll just continue with guitars. Section sounds really good. I'm picky about riffs and drum beats, but this one actually sounds really good. Okay, thanks for the vote of confidence, Ted. What else? Okay, yeah. Just checking I haven't missed any of your messages. I've got it set up on a laptop over here, because it's not really good trying to run things on the same monitors, but anyway. I seem to be talking to myself a lot today. It's not usual. So, I think I want to go to A. Right, so that's 2-minute mark. Okay. Coffee. And I'll have to retune this because I've taken the capo off. So a while back, I actually replaced the tuners on this guitar. So this guitar is a Schecter Jeff Loomis signature. If I shuffle that bit of foam, well, I'm not going to remove that bit of foam, but there's a signature there if you remove it. So it's a 7-string hardtail, which is entirely unlike the actual guitar that Jeff Loomis uses, because he's a very big whammy user. And this is actually his old Sig model, so his newer Sig models have quite a few features that are different from this guitar. Namely, I think he has a Sustainiac, which I don't have. But yeah, I replaced the tuners and I got these Spurzl. Can you see that? If I put that in front. Spurzl locking tuners, which make it a lot easier to restring this guitar. I can do it very quickly, whereas before I'd spend forever trying to get the things to lock, and yeah, it was not very good. Unfortunately, they have a lot of backlash to them, so if you turn them one way, then turn the other way, you have to turn them actually a significant amount before it actually starts to go backwards, because it's just I'm not sure what it is actually. It's probably a sign I fucked something up when I was installing them, but which makes tuning this guitar interesting. But when you get it in tune, it's alright. So anyway, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do that same riff but up a step. So before. My camera makes a loud rattling sound when I move. It's probably the entire desk rattling because I've got the monitors, so computer monitors and audio monitors up on a shelf which is rather, so if I do this, yeah, there's a shelf there which is a bit unstable. That probably made some interesting rattling noises on your end. I'm sorry about that. I'll try not to bump the desk too much. Do I want to do it for 8 bars there or 4 bars? What sounds good there? Click before I do this. I forever forgetting to turn on the click when I record things. Maybe I'll just record and then... quite in the right spot. One of these days I'll actually practice enough to be a decent rhythm guitarist, but until then I'll just keep editing my guitar parts into oblivion. I've decided that I don't really care how much Pro Toolsing I need to do to my guitar parts, because guitar isn't actually my main instrument. Or at least that's my defense, if anyone questions me on it. My main instrument is actually bass. So I've been playing bass for many years longer than I've played guitar. Where are we? Do I care enough? It's in the right spot. I probably should just listen to this and see if it sounds in the right spot rather than just automatically editing everything, but it's not really a good habit to get into. Chris Jackson says, I love your L Train. I love you too, random YouTube commenter. And I love you, random citizen. What is if I'm going to do that, I need to... Yeah, that sounded horrendous, didn't it? Reminds me of a riff. It wasn't me, it was a friend I was in a band with. He wrote this riff where it was lots of muted power chords. Muted. But he had it was a band with 2 guitars, and he had one guitar playing, well, he had them playing on different frets. And the next one was playing a semitone apart. I'm not sure if we actually ever played that song or recorded it. Would have sounded horrible. But that's right, yes. That was the band that broke up before we actually got anywhere with that record we were writing. Fun times. Which is probably good, because I was sort of slated to do a lot of the songwriting and a lot of the production for that record, and I just was not interested. Anyway, good times. So Hopefully I'm not coming down with something. I'll leave that where it is. Okay. It's my unfortunate. I've discovered I have an unfortunate habit of coming in early on the very first note of every take. Not really sure why that is. Must be something to do with. Oh. That's very interesting. So if you see there, looks like there's a missing note. If I solo that, but there's enough gain that it doesn't matter. Usually I leave little mistakes like that in just because it sounds more authentic, I guess. It doesn't sound bad. It just sounds like that's what a guitar sounds like. So I'll leave that. Just shuffle it slightly back. I got slightly ahead of the beat there. We'll just quickly re-record that. Okay, so what does that sound like? Yeah, I'm not sure about that structure. I might need to shorten that bit. It's feeling a bit off. I'll do some drum parts and then have another listen. Something like that. No, from there, I want to. There's a little tip I'll point out whenever I'm doing, well, it applies to all drum beats really, but generally, at least in metal and rock, strong beats tend to get slightly accented. So if the drummer's just playing a constant stream of snares, they won't play them all at the same velocity. If you're using MIDI terminology, they'll even if they don't mean to, they'll be slightly accenting the first, like the downbeat. So. And that means you can do things with meter, and so if they're doing something in, I don't know, compound time. Which is why I tend to type in my drum parts on a keyboard, because your fingers will naturally like do that accenting. Although it does take practice to get it accurate, but anyway. So yeah, so that's what you'll notice I've done there. For each pair of tom hits, the first one, which is on a beat, is slightly stronger. The other thing I'm thinking there is that it's a drummer leading with their right hand, which is their strong hand. So and the second one's slightly quieter. It's a dead giveaway that drum part has been programmed when everything is equally loud. Yeah, that always, it's a dead giveaway to me. Whenever I hear that, like there's a like a roll on toms or something, and every note sounds exactly the same velocity, it completely breaks immersion for me. It always makes me think, who the fuck programmed that? Anyway, sorry, pardon my French. Now what are the cymbals doing here? I want to return to... go for that small crash. It's useful to keep in mind which cymbals are on which side of the kit. So I know drummers who do often do lots of cross kit sort of stuff where Jen rehearsal the other day with a drummer who has lots of beats where he does that. He goes from ride to hi-hat constantly. It's actually quite distracting. Generally, it's good to keep accents and things on the same side of the kit. That's the other tip I'll put in. Whenever the kicks get really fast, generally they get quiet. Although maybe not that quiet. And uneven. That's the other dead giveaway, when you have a line of very fast kicks and they're all exactly the same. Although I have known drummers who do that, but with triggers. It does tend to give that sound. I personally don't like that sound. So. So those should not be mistakes, or something like that. Okay. Okay. He's right. Just checking it's actually the symbol that I think it is. Okay, so I'll just go back and listen to the whole thing. So I find it's useful if you're, especially if you're writing things and you're not sure if the structure works or not. It's useful to sort of go back and listen to the whole thing at once. It's a little bit like being a painter and sort of standing back and looking at the whole painting. So I'll just select that. It works, but I'm not actually sure where it leads. Because I have a vague idea of where the song needs to go. I'm not sure that's actually... Ooh, gotta be careful with that. Sorry. Got a vague idea of where the song needs to go, but not actually sure if this is leading in that direction. So yeah, I'm just listening. Yes, now I have a rough idea. Now, do I want to continue with the guitar parts there, or actually write some of these orchestral parts? Do I even know what the orchestral parts are doing there? Don't mind me, I'm mostly just talking to myself here. I actually think the orchestral parts there will be sort of minimal. Maybe just some chords. So what if I turn up the... That's interesting. What's rattling there? Something's rattling. Not sure what's rattling there. Anyway, where was I? Something like that, perhaps. The unfortunate thing about a very fast ostinato like that, it really only sounds right when played by a few instruments, namely guitar, strings, and mallet percussion sort of works. It's a bit interesting. So I've actually got in the chorus there. I've actually got the xylophone playing that ostinato. What does that even sound like? Maybe they've got three mallets. Yeah. Anyway. Put in a staccato transition there. That's not what I wanted to do. Nudge, there we go. It's going to be a lot higher. Or maybe I can switch articulations there to... So I'll just point out what I'm doing there. Really should get a better system for this, but I've got... anyway, so for the strings I'm using VSL, and I'm actually using the... Yeah, that's where I want it. The special edition strings, first volume 1 and 1 plus. At some point I will actually get the full orchestral strings. And so I've got a limited palette here. So these are the articulations that I actually use. If I look at the full, I can go over here and you can just see there's all sorts of articulations here. And the full orchestral strings has even more. And I don't use like 2/3 of them just because they're very specialized. So most of what I use is legato and staccato and spiccato. So what I've done there, Originally I had that being played on staccato, which is a very accented sort of sound, but I wanted a bit softer, spiccato, which is shorter and less accented. And it also has more repetition, so if you do it sounds a lot better than in staccato. It's only got the 2 repetitions. I believe it's alternating between an up bow and a down bow there. And I can't actually tell which is which because I'm not good enough at violin to know. Yes, and apart from that I've also got some... now these are sort of accented longs, which I don't tend to use that much, but sometimes they're useful. So they're forte piano. Which would actually be more useful if it was much longer, but whatever. Then there's a sforzato, rather. It's actually very similar to the forte piano. One of those weird notation things that I've actually had pointed out to me before is that, especially jazz musicians will tend to play a sforzando piano crescendo thing that you see often. There's like 10 different ways of notating it, and they all sound exactly the same when it gets played. Anyway, so here's the forte piano. Of course, this is a string orchestra, so they won't play it like jazz musicians, so they'll tend to actually just hold the piano. If you give that to a jazz musician, they'll tend to instinctively put a crescendo after that. Anyway, then I've also got these tremolo trills, which get used quite a lot. Also pizzicato, but I tend to not use very much. Just not a sound that I use. Maybe I should use it more. Anyway, so there you go. I've got a very limited palette of articulations because that's all that I tend to use. Anyway, hopefully that was informative. If not, well, if not, then probably this whole stream has been very boring. My apologies. Anyway, where was I? That should be quantized. Now I'll just give a subtle swell to this. So we'll do something like up to 90-ish. Or it doesn't need to be even... Actually, it probably needs to be even bigger than that. So like from sort of mezzo piano to mezzo to forte. If I was more dedicated, I'd actually put these in with the breath controller, but I've never liked how it sounds on strings. It sounds like you're blowing on a string instrument. It's very weird. I mean, that's part of the reason why I don't actually have the sample modeling strings, because they have a weird sort of wind articulation to them, which is not right. Anyway. That's not right at all, is it? It needs to be more subtle than that, and it needs to be even. That's close enough. Okay, so actual harmonies there were. Start by transposing the whole thing. Unfortunately, the way I handle articulations in Pro Tools is not particularly efficient, so I'll just quickly do that. And I think here, killing it, man. Sana Najimi says hi. Hi. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you're all enjoying this stream. I seem to be talking to myself and doing random things wrong today, which is a little bit out of sorts. I'm not really sure what's going on there. Anyway, where was I? So I think for this bit, I'll actually reuse a melody from, where is it? play that. It's interesting. Where are the other trumpets? There they are. So I'll just play that again, but I'll solo the horn and trumpet, which are playing the melody there. Okay. I mentioned I love the sample modeling trumpet. It is just an incredible instrument. Just works so well on pretty much everything. What's the strangest bit of trumpet work that I've done? Oh no, it's probably not here. That's the trumpet I used in Undertale, the Undertale tribute that I did. And I was surprised how well it adapted to being used as a mariachi style trumpet, because there's that section in what song was it? Heartache? Toriel's theme, anyway, where there's like a random transition into a mariachi section, and the trumpets. Like, I had to listen to some mariachi tunes. It's like, oh yeah, I reckon I can do that, and it came out actually almost perfect. I'm like, whoa. Anyway. So I found the trick there was molto vibrato. So if I'll just. So the trick there is lots of vibrato. I was doing it with the breath controller, so it's. It's very exaggerated vibrato. Like, for classical playing, you wouldn't do that. It'd be sort of. Maybe a very subtle vibrato, but for the mariachi style, I found it was a very. Very exaggerated vibrato. Anyway, it's a fun interlude. Okay, so there's that melody there. Where is it? There it is. And I'll get the strings to play that, because rule of thumb, shift your melodies around the orchestra. You've got lots of instruments, use them. Anyway, so I'll have the violins play that there. It's a different meter. I've gone from 4 to 6, so I'll have to. Something doesn't sound right there. Gave my drummer 3 arms there. Something didn't sound right. Anyway, where were we? There we go. One thing I've found useful is to think of how phrases tend to get naturally played by string players or wind players. It's actually very similar between the two. They'll tend to naturally taper the ends of phrases. So, especially in an orchestra where you've got lots of strings playing in unison, they'll tend to follow the leader quite a bit. So especially the back desks will tend to watch the leaders in front, which they're trained to do, and they'll be just slightly behind. So what you'll get is you'll get the section leader starts playing and the front desks start playing, and just fractionally behind that, the desks behind them will start playing. So each note will have this natural swell to it, where not everyone comes in together. Or each phrase, rather, will have a natural swell to it. It tends not to happen in the middle of phrases. Which is actually a dead giveaway if you're not using your samples properly. And the same thing happens on phrase ends, but in reverse. So the back desks will tend to pull out early. So you tend to get the reverse thing where your phrases will naturally swell down to nothing. Depending on how you articulate. I mean, you can write things so that the strings will end together if you want that effect. But by default it doesn't happen, so it's a useful thing to keep in mind. So if you're writing, and the same thing happens in wind players, not because of unisons, but because that's just naturally how we phrase things. If you think about sentences, because wind instruments, they tend to play phrases, and they have it has a very similar sort of dynamic to speech, or singing, I guess, is the usual thing. So if you imagine each phrase, it's like the start of a sentence, they'll tend to naturally, I don't know, work yourself into it and then taper a bit off at the end instead of it just ending abruptly. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on the matter. So yeah, whenever I'm doing wind phrases, see if I can pick out an example here. Oh, there you go. So that's... Actually, I'll pick the clarinet part playing the counter melody in what I'm calling the theme section. You can see it's naturally tapering the ends of those phrases, and I think the horns are also doing the same thing there. So if I so that was actually played with the breath controller, and I was deliberately not tonguing the start of the phrases there, so you get this swell in. That's something I've found actually playing the sample modeling horn. You have to be very careful with your articulation, otherwise it can sound very un-horn-like. If you're playing trumpet or trombone, or the sample modeling trumpet or trombone, you can articulate things, but very sharp attacks at the start of phrases, but you can't do that on the horn. It just doesn't sound right. So here I wasn't tonguing at all. You can see there's just this sort of wah as I go into it. Anyway, hopefully you get the idea there. Where was I? That's right, I was doing strings, not winds. Very different instruments. Where was I? Lost another riff. does the second half of that phrase go? Okay. Just reminding myself how this song actually goes. Because I'm lazy, I'll just copy that. Where was I? No, that's right. Okay. And I think I'll have V1 and V2 in unison there. I think that'll work. Unfortunately, I don't have a separate second violin sample set. I believe the full orchestral strings does, although it's actually the same set of violins, but they've like shifted things around so that it works. So if I play that, what you'll notice is some very strange phasing effects you can hear. You might not be able to hear them. You've got to know what to listen for. So what I'll do is I'll pitch that down and pitch that up. So what it's doing is a pitch bend and it's a pitch bend, and so it's using a different set of samples to create the same pitches, I guess. And then I'll go back to no pitch bend there. So if I play that now, no phasing. Now you notice that I turned the pitch bend off there because they will not be in unison. What I'm going to do is actually go up an octave. Because first violins love playing around the very end of their neck. Time is it? 11:30. I have to keep an eye on the time because I've actually got things to do this afternoon. So unfortunately I'm not going to be able to stream for very much longer. But while I'm in the zone, so to speak, I will continue with what I was doing. So where was I? Horns. There we go. So what I'm going to do actually is take this. Actually, what I might do there. So this is being a bit difficult. So what I'll do is trying to hold this all at once in my head is quite tricky because I keep forgetting what the actual chords are. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly go to Sibelius, which is music notation software. There we go. Since I'm not actually paying attention to So what I'll do is try to remember what the chords are. So it's what is went up. Yeah, just putting that. That should be a. Sorry, that should not. Should be a whole. There we go. Okay, so I'll just transpose. Where's the transpose one? So those are the notes that I'll. Ooh, that goes quite high, doesn't it? Actually, no, that should be alright. Because if this would actually being played by a real band, so my concept, so I'm going to get that played by the horns. So I'll go back to Pro Tools. Okay. This will be interesting. Actually, I'll do that. Yep. Okay, that works. So I've actually got it on my right window here. Even though you can't see it, I could shuffle things around so that you could see it, but it's really not that interesting. Actually, maybe I will just quickly. Yep, so you can see what's going on over there. Okay, so sometimes I'm doing this if I've got some crazy chord progressions or some melody that I can't just keep in my head. I'll actually write it down, Sibelius or some other method to do that. So these are actually, do I need a fourth horn part? Anyway, as I was saying, I'll have this played by the horns, and it actually goes quite high for the horns. But my concept for the band that would play this is that the trumpets and the trombones, of which there are two of each, they would be doubling on flugelhorn and euphonium. So there's only one actual horn. So for parts where there's like horn harmonies or horn solis, I'll have them switch to flugelhorn and or euphonium and have them as sort of pseudo horns. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, that's not going to work. Oh, that was quite late there. Right, and then second horn's taking the lowest part. Alright, and third horn. What's third horn doing? Fix that. Oh, that was extremely late. Okay, so what does that sound like? Those notes are all very late. Does it need a horn part? Actually, this would be more of a tuba part. Just let me... that's quite late. Don't really need to be that late. It's A, there, like that. So it's a bass horn part, and that would definitely be a euphonium part, because I wouldn't... Was that low and low? No, actually, a low horn player could probably play that with no problems. But anyway, where was I? Go back there. Okay, so I don't need Sibelius anymore. Shut down. Okay, so where was I? So let's have a listen to that. What does that sound like? That's what it needs. It needs some percussion. Percussion solves all problems. Where was that actually? I'll just put percussion. There we go. Reorganizer. drum beat isn't really working there, I don't think. Okay, so what does that sound like if I do that? Come on, stupid thing. Okay, so that kind of works. Where's the So I don't know how many of you are actually still watching. According to YouTube, there's 4 of you, which is not a lot, but that's all right. I organized this with very little warning, so that's probably why. But what I will do now is I will just quickly put in a bass part here, and then I think that would be a good spot to call it a day. Just quickly put in. Right, bass parts. This will be interesting. We'll just quickly. Okay. Ooh, I can feel the lag. This will be very interesting. Feel the lag between hitting the bass note and actually hearing it coming out of my speakers. So this will be very interesting, but so I'll just record to drums and guitar. Terrible. too bad, but I reckon I can play it better than that. It's actually not too bad there. I thought that was going to be a lot more difficult to play. It's actually easier to play there than on guitar because you can use your rest strokes to mute things. You know, you can mute things with your left hand. Whereas on guitar, you don't have that, so you have to finger everything separately. So it's actually a lot easier to play on bass. I like things that do that. We'll continue on. Doing wrong. I could play it better than that though. I can still play it better than that. I get so good. One more try and then... And last section. Something like that. Okay, so what does that all sound like? If I just tune that back to 3, solo everything. Okay, what does that sound like? Not bad, not bad. Anyway, I think that is a good spot to end the stream on. Thank you all for tuning in, all 7 of you. I think there were more at some point. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'll probably stream again next week at the same time, 10:30. I'm not sure. I'll figure that out. I'll put up that announcement sometime this week. Okay, thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you next week.